not surprisingly, Fox hammering the president on the budget. And the degree to which they're taking things out of, I don't know why it gets me every time, the degree of their deceit. But this latest tactic is to suggest that all the president wants to do is raise taxes. So they have decided to suggest that in order to balance the budget, they're going to point out that if all you want to do is raise taxes, here's how much here's what you would have to do, as if that would ever happen. So take a look at and by the way, the phrase they keep using is "soak the rich." So anyway, here's on Fox and Friends. Who are their friends, by the way? Who's friends with these people? Here's Steve Doocy and Stuart Varney.
Tim Geithner has one way to reduce the deficit, and he says it doesn't require raising taxes on the middle class.
If you want to extend these tax breaks for the top 2%, then either you have to ask me to go out and borrow trillions of dollars from the Chinese or from foreign investors or from Americans, from our children, or you have to cut, as he proposes to do, very, very deeply into basic benefits for seniors, the disabled, the poor.
But hold the phone, Mr. Geithner. Stuart Varney joins us right now, and he says that does not add up.
No, it does not add up. It does not add up. Geithner is saying, look, you can have it all. All you got to do is tax the rich. Well, do the math, Mr. Treasury Secretary, because it does not add up. If you really wanted to mop up all of this overspending and this over debt, right, you've got to tax the rich at 88%. In other words, you've got to take 88 on the dollar off everything they make above about $350,000, and you've got to tax Middle America at a 63% rate.
Okay, great. Yeah, and you'd have to tax the poor at 54%. Right. And this is, again and again and again, this is just what they keep hammering.
Yeah, and Geithner is an easy recipient of the hammer. He has been from both sides, both from Democrats and Republicans. He's not the most sympathetic Treasury Secretary because whenever he gets out there to articulate what their position is, he seems to get himself in trouble. And not like any other Treasury Secretary I've ever known. I don't know very much about Tim Geithner, but I do know that he doesn't have the sympathies of either side that makes creating any kind of a budget very difficult when you don't have the sympathies of either side. And you know, this is what you're going to hear. This is what you've heard consistently. But the opening question, the question whether, I don't know if it was Steve Doocy who asked the question or if it was the woman who introduced
No, it was
them.
Steve Doocy.
It was Steve Doocy. You know, the opening question is, how did we get in this mess? Well, we got in this mess because of 8 years of irresponsible spending under an administration that ran crazily with a surplus. I mean, that's the answer to how we got in this mess. How we get out of it, nobody's really come up with the clear answer. It's not going to come from 88% taxes on anyone. It's not going to come from 63% taxes on the middle class. I mean, that is a myth, and that is why this is propaganda. That's why this station is about propaganda.
Yeah, it's totally propaganda because he doesn't tell you like why the rates need to be that high based on how quickly we'll pay down the debt.
Yeah.
Obviously, your tax rates would be at a different rate if you're going to balance the budget versus paying down the debt.
And of course, I don't even need to, I suppose, get into this, but Christiane Amanpour asked, really almost in that question, Tim Geithner, sort of, is the middle class protected? And Geithner essentially said, think about it this way, to bring deficits down, you have to do it in a balanced way, spending savings, reforming health care, and tax reform, do it in a way that acceptable cost to the economy, preserving our capacity to invest, and don't add to the burden of the middle class. And we also know that from a political point of view, even if adding to the burden of the middle class made complete sense, was even vital from an economic point of view, it still wouldn't get done. Like, it's not going to happen.
That's right.
From politically, it's not going to happen. So what Fox is suggesting is crazy from a political point of view, even if it made sense economically.
Well, they're doing what they always do, which is they push the debate to the extreme. And then you're arguing on the extreme side of it rather than saying it doesn't have to quite go that far.
I mean,
they also reframe and invent what other people have said. I mean, that's really what they're doing here with Geithner. I mean, Ben just read what Geithner said about them. They said nothing like what Varney is saying about them. I mean, and you're right too. There is zero specificity. They can get on the air unchecked, unchallenged by their audience. And say he's going to raise the tax on the middle class to 94%. Boom. Everyone's walking around thinking that there's going to be 94% tax on the middle class. I mean, it's just totally irresponsible.
These guys don't think there should be taxes on anyone, and now they're saying, okay, raise taxes, but then you're going to do it 88% and 63%. They don't think there should be anything.
Yeah.
Well, the top marginal tax rate in the 40s and 50s, wasn't it
90%.
90%?
Under us. But that's crazy.